My name is Lisa MacLeod. I'm the MPP for Nepean. I want to thank all of you today for coming on to this very important session that I'm working with OCOBIA, the Board of Trade, Invest Ottawa, and of course, Ladies Who Lunch. And I'm really excited that these wonderful women that I get to work with, Andrea Steenbackers, Catherine Landry, Suling Ching, and of course, Sonia Shorey, are not only powerful women in our community and leading business, but they're very compassionate. And a few months ago, they came to me with an idea that we needed to enhance supports, mental health and wellness for those who are self-employed and who are entrepreneurs in our community who may be suffering, particularly this time of year, without the types of supports that other industries and sectors may have because they're in larger groups of corporations or associations or what have you. So today we were able to come together very quickly in the last week to put this on. I'd like to first introduce Andrea Steenbackers. She is with the OCOBIA group, but she locally here in Nepean is our business improvement area executive director for Barrhaven. And I'd like to toss it over to Andrea for a few seconds so she can talk about why we're here.
Lisa. So as Lisa mentioned, I'm here today representing the Ottawa Coalition of BIAs. For those of you who are not familiar with OCOBIA or BIAs for that matter, we're a unified voice of 18 business improvement areas that span across the city, urban, suburban, and rural Ottawa areas. Combined, we represent more than 6,400 bricks and mortar businesses and over 128,000 employees citywide. So small Main Street businesses, especially the smallest of the small, the owners face unique challenges. So financial pressures like unpredictable revenue, debt management, isolation. It can be a solitary endeavor running a sole proprietorship, and it requires a lot of long hours away from family and friends and that sort of thing. Burnout is common from multitasking to always have to be on and wearing many hats, of course. And again, I don't have to tell anyone the economic and market challenges that we're facing right now. Post-pandemic recovery, both financial and emotional, is still ongoing in a big way. And then, of course, you add in the competition with big chains and online shopping, inflation, supply chain issues. So these factors are squeezing what are already really razor-thin profit margins. And keeping in mind, I think a lot of people forget, not only does the business owner have business bills to pay and staff to pay, but they also have their own family to support and mortgage and bills and payments on top of that. So during the pandemic, BIAs across the city held daily online group calls so that small businesses could receive the most current critical information. Especially in the beginning, it was literally daily, hourly information coming out. But more importantly, I think, as in addition to that, it provided an essential opportunity to share experiences and resources. So that peer-to-peer, we are truly all in this together. It looks differently and feels differently for different people, but generally speaking, it was an amazing opportunity to share, which really helped a lot of people with their emotional and mental health challenges that, of course, we all knew happened during that period of time and that are ongoing. So happy to be sharing this next step with our partners to leverage community and mental health tools and programs. So thank you, Lisa and Sonia and Suling and Catherine for pulling me into this amazing group.
Well, thank you, Andrea. Thanks for the great work that you're doing in our community. I'm going to turn it over to Catherine Landry, who's no stranger to anybody, because she'll let you know how she feels about you, whether you like it or not. No, I love it. In fact, I was just thinking before I got on here, what a powerhouse this woman is. So I wanted to turn it over to Catherine Landry. And Catherine, we owe you a big debt of gratitude because you really are the person who reminds every single person in the city what small business entrepreneurship and people just trying to get it done with little resources. So big thanks to you.
That's awesome. Thank you, guys. I'm so thrilled at the speed of which this all came together. I rang a bunch of alarm bells about 4 months ago, and these women stepped up to the plate hard. And they not only stepped up alone, they brought their whole mountain with them. So we're all here to stand up for small business owners. I'm the boots on the ground. I'm the one that I've got tons and tons of connections all over social media. So I get all the messages of despair, the messages of hard times that people are going through, and the fact that nobody's listening. No government institution, nobody's listening to these people that have paid taxes for like 30, 40 years. Anyways, moving forward, we're currently in the greatest wealth transfer since the inception of economics, from small business to big box. Just in this past 4 years alone, you can Google it all. It's a huge, huge wealth transfer. So that's what's hitting small business the most, is you can't fight this Goliath, or can you? 62% of entrepreneurs feel depressed once a week, except for me, it's probably about 5 times a week. 46% say they are struggling with mental health issues, but only 16% said they would seek help. And so we want to change that. And we want to go into 2025 looking at wellness as opposed to talking about mental illness, because as entrepreneurs, we're not mentally ill. We're overwhelmed, we're not heard, and we're scrambling really, really, really hard. But as entrepreneurs and small business owners, you're also the backbone of the economy. You are visionaries. You are the tireless community leaders. You're innovators, and you're tired. The restaurant industry as well, that's a whole other entity towards this, but we're not mentally ill. We just want wellness. So I'm glad that we're building this platform. We want to build peer-to-peer help, peer-to-peer group support, and just really get back to connecting with human beings and learning how others are foraging through this quagmire of industry. And hopefully peer-to-peer mentorship is going to help with professional support behind. So thank you everybody for joining. I'm not an expert. I'm just a hardworking, tax-paying, self-employed human being. And I am so thrilled and honored to have everybody here to support this this movement as we go into 2025 wellness.
Well, you're amazing. You have so much power, personal power and otherwise. So congratulations on ringing the alarm bells to get this to happen. So I wanted to turn over now to Su-Ling Ching. Su-Ling, of course, is the president and CEO of our Board of Trade here in the city of Ottawa. She got a bunch of money from the province the other day I won't boast about, but we're here to talk about mental health, mental illness, and mental wellness. So talk about that.
Thank you, Lisa, so much for your leadership. And I won't repeat the things that Catherine and Andrea said, but I agree wholeheartedly with everything that you said. What's important is for us to make sure that the people who need it have the resources that are currently available. And then for us as economic developers to identify what other opportunities do we have to meet the growing needs, whether that be through providing tools, by helping with communications and changing the conversation around mental wellness, and also what are the policy and systemic changes that need to be made so that we are making sure that we have a healthy, productive community, the small business entrepreneurs, and frankly, all of the employees of all of our businesses, when they are healthy and well and whole, that is when we see economic growth. That's where we see community prosperity. And in these times of change and uncertainty, it's more important than ever. So as the voice of business and an advocate for economic development in our city and our region, we are very interested and always have been interested in making sure that mental well-being is understood as being a key economic driver. We've done that by partnering with many of the organizations here, making sure there's access to tools, and we will continue to do so. So I won't take up any more time, but just to express my appreciation for everybody who's organized this, and to all of our guests that are here today, to say that the Board of Trade is at the ready to support.
Excellent. Thanks so much, Su-Ling. We appreciate everything. And I'm going to turn it over to Sonia Shorey, who is, I think, the first woman to take the helm. And probably you are too, Su-Ling. And I definitely know you are, Andrea. And ladies of lunch for you. Oh my gosh, we're just so lucky in Ottawa to have such strong, powerful women. And Sonia, congratulations. You've only been in your job less than, 6 months or something. And we're getting you kicking and screaming into this. So why don't you tell everybody what you're up to and how we can help and how your group is moving ahead on this issue.
We're just incredibly grateful to have the opportunity to collaborate with all the partners on the screen, all the courageous speakers. I feel privileged. I've collaborated with each of you in so many different ways. And I guess the main message, just to complement and build on those that have already been shared, we here at Invest Ottawa, as your lead economic development agency, we are all in heart, body, mind, and soul for the founders, for the business owners, for the companies that we serve. That is our raison d'etre, and we are very grateful to every single business owner who launches, grows, scales, and builds here. And we're in when it's challenging and when it's difficult and when there's moments of prosperity where we can help to accelerate that growth. We're all about supporting to the best of our ability with all of our partners every step of the business journey. And we know for founders it is very, very difficult right now. Just yesterday, I talked to an outstanding small business owner who is doing marvelous things, who gives back, who gives generously, and has an outstanding product and an outstanding brand. And they are struggling. They're struggling with things like the Canada Post strike. They are struggling with the cost of inflation, with the cost of everything they use to build their product going up. And it broke my heart. And these are very gifted, talented people. We know that that is amplified and multiplied across so many of the business owners, and the leaders on the screen have brought that forward, and we are standing side by side, hand in hand with them and with all the founders that we know need this help. I bring a very personal, passionate commitment to this cause as well. I'm a director on the board of the Ottawa Royal for the Institute for Mental Health Research, so I'm hoping that with both of my hats, we can continue here at Invest Ottawa together with all of you through our Small Business Enterprise Center led by Paula Hopkins, through our technology-based entrepreneurship programming, because it doesn't stop with our main streets, that all those businesses that drive the quality of life, all of the amenities, the services, the experiences that we rely on that really drive our economy and make life worth living, all of the technology-based businesses, so many of them having the same struggles, having those same challenges. A founder goes into business to build, to give back, and to create that big value and that economic impact in our region. Everyone is suffering. So we are listening. We're on a learning journey. We're collaborating with as many people as we can and finding all the ways that we can integrate in mental health support in the right way, not for, but together with our community, listening, learning, and adapting and adopting new approaches. We won't get it right every single time, but we're grateful for all the feedback that has been shared. We're listening and we're committed, and we want to do as much as possible on this front together with these partners and so many others. So I thank you, Lisa, for your leadership, to everyone on the screen, and to all the founders who are joining us today.
Thanks very much, Sonia. Very well said. So for those of you who are just joining us, or if you are going to be watching this at a broadcast later time, my name is Lisa MacLeod, the MPP for Nepean. I'm joined today by Andrea Steenbakers, who is the BIA Executive Director in Barrhaven, but she's also with OCOBIA. Catherine Landry from Ladies Who Lunch, very grassroots-driven business support system in the city of Ottawa. Of course, Su-Ling Ching from the Ottawa Board of Trade, which is right now focused heavily on making sure our city is vibrant and livable. And of course, Sonia Shorey, who's the president and CEO of Invest Ottawa. We've come together, the five of us, to bring forward a panel today that we are going to introduce to you right now. So Susan Blaine, who is with the Dare to Be Vulnerable project. Full disclosure, I do a lot of work with Susan. I admire her. I spend a lot of time with her. So she's here. She will be speaking in one moment. Parul Shah is a practitioner. She will be providing a presentation right after Dare to Be Vulnerable and Susan Blaine. We will then go to Chantal Fleury from the Distress Center here in Ottawa, who will discuss what they're doing and how they may be able to help you. And then we will go to Patrick Horn. Patrick Horn is with an innovative mental health care organization called MindStride. They work hand in glove with the Board of Trade as well as Invest Ottawa, and they'll be talking about some of the innovation that's happening. So there will be some questions that pop up into your screen. Please feel free to answer those questions. The other thing is you can use the chat box or the Q&A if you have any questions. I want to remind everyone that this is a very safe space. If you want to remain private and just listen in the back, that's cool. In fact, that's what I used to do. And that's what gives you the courage to take the next step. But the biggest courage that has been taken today is actually logging on and sitting here over your lunch hour to listen to the practitioners and the peer-to-peer supports that are available right here, right now, and listening and learning. You don't have to do anything more than that. If you just want to take notes and call one of us after, that's fine. If you want to use the chat box, you can do that too. Do things at your own pace. Do things in your own comfort level. As Sonia said, this is a journey. And there is no right way, no wrong way to take this journey as long as you take the next step. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Susan Blaine, who's going to talk about the peer-to-peer supports that she provides at Dare to Be Vulnerable Project and some of the things that that they're doing. They have a lot of town hall sessions if you're interested in attending them. And I'll ask everybody that is not on her presentation to take off their video and take off their audio, and I will do the same if I could ever figure out how to do it. Susan, it's up to you.
Thank you so much, Lisa. I didn't know I had 5 to 7 minutes, but I'm sure I can fill it. Thank you for inviting me to participate. Those of you that aren't familiar with the Dare to Be Vulnerable project, we are a not-for-profit social enterprise, and where we kind of fit in the mental health space is in awareness. And it's looking at mental health in a different way. And I know we're exploring and practicing with different words like mental wellness and mental fitness. And in the end, we all have a mental health. And that's a big part of the Dare to Be Vulnerable's messaging. It's a big shift for a lot of people to think about their own mental health. Because a lot of people, when they hear those two words, they think about mental illness, and that's not what it is. I have been diagnosed with mental illness. I have an anxiety disorder. In fact, my anxiety is quite high right now, self-disclosure. And I have a playbook of things that I do to help my own anxiety. But mental health is something we all have. Like we have a brain health, a heart health, a gut health, a physical health. We don't think of it that way. When we hear mental health, we think of it as something somebody else is struggling with. At least a lot of people do. So that's a big part of our messaging is ownership of that. Like, what am I doing today for my mental health? I was at the Royal Ottawa's breakfast, and the statistic that I've been sharing at our events since then is that by 2030, depression globally will be the leading health concern. Depression. And along with that, the stat that they shared at this breakfast was that 6.6% of the people that are struggling with depression will receive care. That's not a lot. So then the question becomes and 2030 is not far away. It's 5 years. And it's sad that that's our trajectory. So the question becomes, what can we do, at least from our perspective, from the Dare to Be Vulnerable Project's perspective, and my perspective? Because when I went through a very big trauma 5 years ago, I lost everything. We talk about finances, we talk about burnout. I had it all going on, and I was in a very dark place. And the first step that I took towards wellness was I had the courage to have a conversation with one of my good friends who had taken me in because I lost everything. I was homeless for 20 months. My savings, I was penniless and 54 years old. Not where I expected to be. It was a very dark ride. The darkest I'd ever been, and I was planning to exit. And I had the courage to share that with my friend. And what she said to me changed my trajectory. And she said, Susan, you need more help than I can give you, and you need to be hospitalized. Now, I talk about a spectrum because we're all on a mental health spectrum at any given time. Okay, because we have a mental health. So where are we on the spectrum? Where are we on the spectrum on our physical health? On our heart health. So I was in the red zone then, for sure. So I know what that feels like. And part of what I needed to accept was help, support. So the next day I went into the Queensway Carleton Hospital with my best friend. She held my hand. They assessed me and I went in. It was 2 days before COVID struck. It was March 11th, 2020. So I was in there for a couple of weeks. I came out. The world was a different place. I have had to navigate because I didn't have access to any kind of medical care. COVID was happening, and there were no resources. As an outpatient from the hospital, I would have had normally. So I have had to learn how to navigate how to lean in for support. And support looks like a lot of different things. Support can be just having courageous conversations with a small group of people that you trust. You know, I love Boho Beautiful on YouTube. They have 5, 10, 15-minute guided meditation. When I feel overwhelmed, I'm not a great meditator. I need help, but it's practice. I spend a lot of time outdoors. I walk dogs a lot. So nature is a tool for me. It comes back to us. So what are we doing? What does your mental health playbook look like? You know, that's a mindset, a shift that a lot of us have to make. And there are resources and tools, and we provide those. We create a one-pager for our events. I had 2 days ago, we did our 14th event, the Dare to Be Vulnerable project. We started in 2023, and some of our partners are on the call here today, and I thank you for the support. We had 300 people in the room at the Marshes. Our host was Tech Tuesday and Wesley Clover. And it's the power of sharing our stories, the power of courageous conversation. It's the first step, because I know there are a lot of people. I mean, I agree with Lisa. Thank you. And you're courageous. Your courage to come on this call, just to sit in the background is more than most people have. What I've learned from doing this work and having over 400 one-on-one conversations with people since I started in 2022, so many people are struggling in silence. They don't have the courage to come on this call. They don't have the courage to talk to somebody. So that's where the Dare to Be Vulnerable project, and I've discovered in the time that I've been working with it, that's where we fit in. We help bridge that awareness to support. And it's the first step. It's like Me Too. And through our events, we demonstrate that by having leaders, because I believe it's our responsibility to go first. I did one for entrepreneurs in October at Invest Ottawa, one of our partners. And yeah, entrepreneurs have a lot more to deal with, a lot more stress, a lot more pressure. So it's just as important, even more important, to build a playbook. Learn how to practice some exercises that strengthen and boost your mental health, so you can move that needle that's going this way for most folks. And the stats tell us most folks are going yellow, orange, and then it's when you're in crisis, you ask for help. But what if we could ourselves move the dial to the green zone? And that's what the Dare to Be Vulnerable project is focused on. As Lisa mentioned, we have a lot of events and they're free. We'll have many in 2025. I invite you to come out if you haven't been to one, and witness the power and the courage of vulnerability and how impactful that is on all of us to witness, and to give us courage to build a playbook, to have those conversations, and to take that first step for ourselves. I'm not sure if that's 5 minutes, Lisa, but
it was amazing. So right before I move on to parole, I just wanted to say, Susan, I obviously love your presentation and I love your soul. I'm so lucky to and fortunate to be your friend. I wanted to ask you to just share with the audience how they can reach you if they would like to attend your event, and how they would get that one pager, because I do notice some things coming in the chat box. Part of being in a mental health crisis, or starting to get to that point where you're in a crisis, is actually understanding where to go. And so you do have a bit of a roadmap. Could you provide that with everybody and tell them how to get to you?
Absolutely. I work with a lot of volunteers, so it isn't as robust as we're working on it being, but our website, daretobevulnerable.com, contact us. You can reach out to me. I'm a solopreneur. I will get to you as I'm happy to provide you. We do have our one pagers that we have available at the events. We have them in hard copy, but we also have them digitally with links and resources that we are familiar with that have been provided to us. We also have practitioners I know Parole Shaw's on here. She's one of our practitioners in our ecosystem. So we have those sorts of things. And then just coming out to attend the events and experiencing that and opening yourself up to what your mental health playbook might begin to look like. We actually do an exercise, a mental health exercise at the event as well. So I encourage you to come out, connect with people. You know, isolation was one of the things mentioned. That's an issue. And COVID did a good job in dividing us even further. We need to continue to connect and remember that we're human, and that's an important thing. So I will provide the one pager for anybody that reaches out, either on social media or on all the LinkedIn, Instagram, and Facebook, and then daretobevulnerable.com is our website. Thank you, Lisa.
Amazing. Amazing. Thanks so much, Susan. And just for those who are joining us or going to be watching this at a later date, that was Susan Blaine from the Dare to Be Vulnerable Project, talking about some of the events and resources that she has on hand. Again, Lisa MacLeod is my name. I am hosting this special mental health event with the Ottawa Coalition of Business Improvement Areas, Ladies Who Lunch, the Ottawa Board of Trade, and Invest Ottawa. Susan, I'll ask you to stop your video, and I'll ask Parul Shah to bring on her video. Parul has been recommended not only by Susan, who uses her as a practitioner in her ecosystem, as she said, but also comes highly recommended by Catherine Landry of Ladies Who Lunch. So, Parul, if you want to take it away, I will mute my mic, and you are on.
All right, I am trying. Oh, there I am. Thank you, Lisa. Thank you, Catherine, for inviting me, bringing this powerhouse together. Susan, I love you. Inside and out, you are a powerhouse to me as well. Thank you to everybody. My name is Parul Shah. I am the owner and founder of Embracing Empowerment Counseling Services. I am a mental health professional. I'm an entrepreneur. And today I just want to share in peer-to-peer based, we're all equal in different forms. And the biggest part is understanding when we start, into our business, how we approach things around our, as Catherine says, brain joy. What do we do? What do we fill? How do we fill our cup without overfilling our cup? So 77% of founders refuse to actually seek mental health professional. And unfortunately, I was one of them. When I started at the beginning of my practice, which I'm going into my 9th year, at the first year when I left a very toxic space and toxic friendship, I thought I'm just going to hit the ground running. I'm just going to hustle, hustle, hustle. And by that first year of my entering into my private practice, what ended up happening is my body kept score. If anybody has read that book, Body Keeping Score, that is what happened to me. I thought initially something was laced into my beverages that I was drinking that evening, and unfortunately it was not. It was one of my peers who actually said to me, you know what, Parul, something's off, and I think you need to seek professional help. Now, in the mental health industry, when we start at the beginning, when we leave, the hardest part was to recognize that we ourselves need help. What does that look like? And knowing that I came out of a very toxic place where they were also in the mental health industry, I did not want to go and see anyone in the Ottawa area. I felt that huge stigma. Again, imposter syndrome came along. I wasn't able to function inside and internally internalize that. So I went outside of the city and I found a beautiful psychologist, and she said to me, "Pearl, look what you've gone through. Your body had kept score." And the body, what my body did was I ended up having ocular migraine. And if anyone doesn't know what ocular migraine is, it is a migraine of the eyes, and I became blind at night. And for 2.5 weeks, that was happening. So I learned at that point, I had to change something for me in order to help our community, to help them through the struggles that they're facing. So one of the biggest things I did for myself right at the beginning of my second year into my private practice is Fridays was my self-care day. And it was hard because when I started, I'm like, I'm going to help everybody. I'm going to conquer the gaps. I made sure of that, but it took a big toll. And ever since January 2017, I made a vow to myself, I'm going to take Fridays off. That includes not taking calls from clients, telling my own family, hey, I need some time away from the family. Love you, but there is time away needed to regroup, refresh, and understand yourself as a human being. Because before entrepreneurship, before myself as a psychotherapist, I'm a human first. And the biggest part is understanding that for yourself as an entrepreneur. One of the things outside of the mental health piece that I am in for the last over 23 years is understanding entrepreneur network marketing. How do we network? We hustle, we hustle, we hustle. But one thing I learned when I was in network marketing for a completely different, a healthy lifestyle, based out of Michigan, back in 2012 to 2013. I I created a quote called "Sell yourself without selling yourself," and that the big piece is when your gut truth is teaching and it's really screaming out loud, it is telling you something. It may not be a good fit. It may not be a good time, and you have to start accepting that piece. Just because you're in chapter one, you don't and should not be comparing yourself to chapter 32 to someone else. Everyone starts from somewhere, and ground zero is where we start being proactive, being part of our community, and understanding therapy and understanding the mental health professionals. They also go through burnout. So early this year in our professional group, there were a number of therapists saying, I'm burnt out. I'm already in my second year. I'm already burnt out. There's no resources out there for us. So I spoke up and I said, listen, I've gone through it. Lived experience is evidence. Peer to peer is needed. And this is where we're going ahead. So I created the peer support group for therapists in a proactive manner. Again, I do appreciate, I'm not sure, Lisa, if I've over kind of exceeded the 5 minutes, but if there's any questions, feel free to kind of email me info@embracingempowerment.com on any socials, Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook. You can reach me at any time.
Thanks, Parul. That was amazing. And I have to say, I really liked what you said about having imposter syndrome. And I think that's really important because we have been told that mental illness or not having strong mental health at any given time is a weakness, and it's not. We go back to what Susan is talking about, vulnerability, and Brene Brown came out with the quote, dare to be vulnerable. And that's what this is actually being able to accept that you're not okay. And I had imposter syndrome too. I didn't have the option of getting out of the city, although I thought when you said it, how tempting it would have been. I had to walk right into the psychiatric ward at the Ottawa Hospital General Campus as a cabinet minister. And so it's one of those things that I'll never forget. But my God, the one moment you do take that step, it really does take a lot of pressure off. So to those who are listening, we'll talk to Parul in a few minutes after the other two presentations, so she can tell us a little bit more about what a self-care day is, and hit on the very important part. Your body does tell you when you're ignoring your mind or your brain. Your body does speak out. So thank you, Parul. I'm going to go next to. Yeah, you were fantastic. Going to go next to Chantel Fleury of the Ottawa Distress Centre. Chantel, if we can get your video back on and give you a few minutes to talk about, or multiple minutes if you like, to talk about what you guys are doing and how important that work is that you have.
Well, thank you so much for having us. So my name is Chantal. I am the long title, but Director of Client Supports and Educational Services with the Distress Center of Ottawa and Region. The Distress Center is a center that manages 24/7 distress and crisis lines. So they're anonymous and confidential, which give folks the opportunity to call in a way that they feel comfortable with. So I think that there is some recognition already in the conversations today that there is still a little bit of a stigma when it comes to mental health, when it comes to seeking support or assistance. And we're hoping that over time that will reduce, because I think that this panel here, as well as the folks that are joining and, kind of evidentiary in conversations that we've had for over 50 years on the lines, is that everyone can use support. That support is not a negative thing. Support is not something, it is not a sign of weakness or any of the above. That the truth is that, the lives that most of us have nowadays are quite challenging. There are several facets to that. It's not just one area of family, it's work, it's socialization, it's all these different pieces. And there's some additional pressure that comes along with that. So, part of our role within the community is to destigmatize what is mental health and what is good mental health and so on and so forth. So at the forefront of what we do, it would be those distress and crisis lines. So as I mentioned, that's a 24/7 free and confidential line where folks can call in and really just be given the opportunity to chat about whatever it is that they're looking to speak about. It can be a variation. It can be somebody who's in crisis at the highest level of crisis, but it can also just be somebody who's looking for a venting board. One of the things that we pride ourselves on at the center is the ability to actively listen. And that gives folks the space to actually say things without having somebody provide advice or judgment. It's a free, non-judgmental service. And there is so much power in giving yourself the space just to be able to share how you're feeling, not having to, not having to actually take the time to say, this is what I'm feeling, but here's why I'm feeling it. If this is how you're feeling, then it's valid. And being given that opportunity to share that as well. So beyond that, so we have over 200 responders, crisis line responders, who are here to answer those calls. Beyond that, appreciating that, sometimes all somebody needs is the ability to share in a safe space, that in your, moments of darkness, that you're just not sitting in that space alone. But other times there are needs for additional resources. So we have access to over 4,000 resources, some of which can be accessed the same day, some of which, might take a little bit of a longer time to access as well. I saw in the chat, and I think there is a recognition that some of the supports, when it comes to more of those professional capacities, can have longer wait lists. So there are things that are built in place within our city that are designed to kind of support you while you're waiting for that more longer term support, if that's what's required as well. So we have access to over 4,000 resources, and it's not specific just to mental health. It's an array of things. We have resources for transportation. We have resources for all these additional things that we have seen that have come up on the lines over the years. We have partnerships with many different organizations within the city. We have escalation models to help support people who are experiencing, some pretty significant stress or crisis and need more of immediate assistance. And those partnerships are pretty vast. We're also partners with 988, which is the new 3-digit suicide crisis line that was launched nationally. So in a nutshell, that's kind of what we do. There is quite a bit of different facets with our organization as well, but just to kind of provide a broad overview. So in being here today, I'm hoping that one of the things that we can articulate from the Distress Center is just the idea that folks can reach out for support. And if for whatever reason there is still that stigmatization, if you are still feeling reluctant to say something publicly, and I think that some of our other speakers spoke to this, that taking the first step is oftentimes the most difficult, but after that, there does come this appreciation for that, what's considered vulnerability to some. But by taking that first step, that, you don't have to walk through this alone, that there is support out there, and that it's readily available. So that's a little bit about the center. I'm not sure how much time I took like the others, but just to give an idea.
You guys are all excellent, and you all speak so well, and it's all complementing one another. Chantal, may I say, you were talking about supports for everyone, and that to me is really important, because I sort of thought I had an episodic issue with depression, that I thought it was just like the one time, like going to the doctor and I broke my arm, and then once the cast and everything heals, I'm okay. But then I find out I have bipolar disorder, and it's more like a chronic situation. Like I have to manage my disease because I have a disease, not unlike anybody that would have diabetes. Two different things, but it's manifesting in terms of the way we need to manage. And so I really appreciate that, because somebody could be feeling overwhelmed right now, and it may go away in a couple months and may never come back, but they may need you at that time, whereas I may need you every week. And I will say this, and Susan Blaine will attest to this. She had a great event about a month ago in the rural area in Ottawa, and a female farmer came on, and she said a big part of why she's still alive today is because whether she felt she needed it or not, she called the distress center. So you saved a life there. And may I ask, I know that you're working with the 988 crisis line. Let's see, how do people get in touch with the distress line?
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, you can certainly go online to our website. There's lots of information there. But our local number is 613-238-3311. And again, that's available 24/7 at any time that somebody needs it. And it is exactly that, as you spoke to, is that sometimes it's just one conversation, one time, and somebody's feeling empowered and not even necessarily empowered, but external factors aren't as heavy as they are currently for the rest of their lives, and that's it. And other times it's more of a continuous support, and we offer both. We aren't we're not paid mental health professionals. We're a group of responders, 200 responders that genuinely care about the community, and so want to be there to support others. And I would say the majority of the folks who work on the lines have had the opportunity to receive support previously, whether it was from a family or a friend, and knows what a difference it can make just to feel heard and not alone.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Chantel. Stick around for a little bit. My name is Lisa MacLeod, the MPP for Nepean. We are right now going through a panel of practitioners and peer-to-peer supports, and we are going right now to Patrick Horn. Patrick, if you can turn on your camera. Patrick is an entrepreneur working with a group I'm very familiar with called Mind Stride. They work a lot with the Board of Trade as well as Invest Ottawa, and they are going to be probably a group you're going to hear a little bit more from in the months and years ahead as they bring in some more innovative mental health care approaches to our city. So Patrick, welcome. You're also the only male on our panel, so there's a whole other level of courage right there. So I will turn it over to you.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me. Can you hear me okay?
Yep.
Okay, great. Yeah, so thanks for having me. I've joined a team of entrepreneurs and a founding team here in Ottawa. We're an Ottawa-based mental health care provider, and we focus on employee well-being. I think you can look at any of the stats. Canadians and entrepreneurs are experiencing a mental health crisis. The numbers are staggering, and the economic impact on on Canada and on our community is significant. So what we wanted to do, because we all are very close to mental health and and the cause all through our own personal situations, was how can we use technology and kind of the best of care that we've got here in Ottawa, combine the two and come up with something that's really innovative that we can offer to companies within our community to help their employees. And that's where MindStride, that's really how it started. We have a clinic downtown Baseline and Prince of Wales, and we opened our clinic doors right around September, and the response has been overwhelming from companies in Ottawa looking to help their employees get access to mental health care when they need it the most. We do have a platform, so we've built out this digital platform. But I think what we're trying to do that's different than what's out there right now for most employees is really be a lot more proactive and preventative. So an employee assistance program that's part of a lot of group benefits. They're designed to be there in a moment of crisis. A lot of times it's a phone number or could be an app, but they're by design underutilized, and that helps keep the cost down for those group policies. So we picked apart traditional EAPs or employee assistance programs and thought, well, if we could reinvent this from the ground up, what would we do differently? And our model is completely different than what you would see today, which is why we're getting such a great response from companies in the community. So we're starting to look at how do we go into organizations and be preventative and proactive in how we present our platform and deliver care to patients. So you come with MindStride, you come in, you do a baseline. It's both your physical health and your mental health. So we understand where you're at, and for employees and patients that are in a good state, then they go into more of an active mode. For employees that need to work on something or choose to work on something to improve themselves, their well-being, and their mental health, then we push out interventions through we call it the digital front door, but it's our application. So really trying to drive innovation. And I think what's even cooler is as we're going to these companies and we're launching with all of our great customers, we're having these launch events where we're in a room full of 20, 30, 40 plus employees, and we're having an open conversation about prioritizing mental health in the workplace. And you watch the whole room, it destigmatizes and makes it a lot more approachable, especially if it's your leadership standing up and saying, I went through the MindStride process, and what a great experience. So I know that we're gonna leave some time for questions, but leave you with, think about building a building today without a fire alarm. We're trying to be that fire alarm in the building so that when you need it, you have access, rapid access to mental health care, and we're there to help. And then we follow you and we track you over time, because you can have a great day, you can have a bad day, you can have a great week, you can have a bad week, you can have a great month or bad month, and it's just constantly changing. You need to treat mental health just like you do your physical health. You go for your annual physical, but the equivalent doesn't exist for mental health, and we're trying to change that with just a team of brilliant minds, very deep medical advisory board, deep bench, and we're working with some of the best and smartest institutions in our city and outside our city. So that's a little bit about MindStride, and that's one way. We're a startup, but we're trying to have a big impact in our community by making it mental health more accessible, driving better patient outcomes, which in return, we already talked about it a little bit, drives better economic and business outcomes for our community.
Well, thank you very much, Patrick. I am going to ask Patrick that you disable your mic or enable your mic back. Chantel, can we enable both your video and sound, as well as Parul and Susan? If you could all do that. I want to say thank you. So anybody joining us right now, we've had 4 panelists. Susan Blaine started us off with the Dare to Be Vulnerable project. We then went to Parul Shah, who is a practitioner herself, an entrepreneur. Chantel Fleury is from the Distress Center in Ottawa, and of course Patrick Horn, who you just heard from, is from MindStride, a startup here in the city of Ottawa that is supportive and works with both the Board of Ottawa, the Board of Trade in Ottawa, and the and Invest Ottawa. I know we have one question in there, and I'm going to sort of do it as a 4-parter before we close up. And so just keep your question or your answer to less than a minute if you like. But if the question it's from Alina, and it's basically about cost of mental health services, because not only are you struggling and there's a stigma, but then unlike most support, if I go to the ER, that's all dealt with by OHIP. And so there's a lot of concern by people about how they're going to get the support. And by the way, that's how this started, was with Catherine ringing the alarm bell that entrepreneurs and people who own their own business don't have the types of supports like an EAP and others. And so we wanted to provide this level of support today. So You all said some very interesting things. And so when I ask you, and I'll go to you, Susan, you talked about resources like meditation and websites that you use. So what's something free that somebody could do today if they were having an anxiety attack?
Breathe.
Breathe.
I know that sounds, somebody might be laughing right now, but
Not us.
I know. We're preaching to the choir here, but as I mentioned when I started my share, I am struggling right now with my anxiety. My anxiety has revved up in the last couple of weeks, and there may be some people on the line feeling that. Well, I know a few breathing techniques. And so before I got on this call and while I was listening to others, I was doing them. That's free. But we're not taught these things. And if you struggle with anxiety at all, what we do as someone who does struggle is we hold our breath a lot. And I think if some of us actually take the time and think about it or tune in to what's going on in our bodies, we realize we're doing that. And it's that the impact of that creates anxiety disorder and heightens our anxiety. So that's a simple one. And, I love YouTube. YouTube, I say I'm a graduate of YouTube University. I've learned so many things on YouTube over the years. And for my mental health, because I've had to navigate on my own without any support, I've leaned in on friends. I'm doing purposeful work now, which has an amazing boost to my mental health and healing. But there are very simple things. And a common phrase is just Google it. Ask Google, give me some very simple tools that I can use right now to boost my mental health and see what comes up and follow what you're curious about. Because what can work for me, breathing works for everybody, I can tell you that, but what works for me may not work for somebody else. So that's why I love the whole idea of a playbook, and there's so many different modalities out there. I have yet to explore, and I'm always doing that. I hope that's helpful.
You're amazing. Now I'm going to go to Parul. Parul, you said two things I really liked. One was your body keeps score, which I know that to be true as well, because it often physically manifests. And the second thing you said was a self-care day, and you take Fridays. So can you talk a little bit about what sort of warning signs somebody might have and how it might manifest? Maybe it might be your shoulder, whatever, it might be your stomach ache, ocular migraines for you, and then how you would do, give a couple of ideas on what a self-care day would look like.
Sounds great. So just give you the debunking of self-care. We hear self-care, there's stigma around self-care. We assume that it's just about going to a spa. No, we got to be real about it within our own system, within our own ecosystem, and in our own family system. With my family, my husband's a first responder who carries mental and moral injuries. My adult daughters carry physical and mental injuries. So I had to be real about what that looked like. How my body kept score can be completely different from somebody else. So understanding your own body first is the first and foremost to understanding your self-care part. Self-care, giving back as an entrepreneur too, what I often did was going to a local coffee shop, providing, paying it forward, having one local coffee, sitting down and just watching people. Just no phone, nothing except taking a picture of my coffee. And I do that with my latte and just sit and vision, being present. That is the hardest part, what we need to do as an entrepreneur, because we're always hustling inside. We have our to-do lists and we need to ease that down. And I always say, as an entrepreneur, I have a quote that I often say, I'm not for everybody, but I am something to someone. And
Wow.
That makes a bigger difference.
That's amazing. Chantal, I'm going to go to you last because I want to ask a question on this line to Patrick about what type of technology could somebody use today? I track my mood, for example. What would you recommend right here, right now, for anybody that might just need that little bit of help?
Yeah, there's some great apps out there that let you track, really how you're feeling, and something like a daily check-in. Although, you may say, oh, how is that really going to help me long term? It's about taking that moment each day to evaluate how are you feeling, because so many people don't do that, and then over time you get longitudinal data on what's changing, and you'll notice that there's patterns in that if you stay at it and you keep entering your mood. So there's that, and then I love um, like apps like Blink that kind of give you micro content where you can read a book or listen to some audio or do some exercise. So for me, it's like I wake up in the morning, instead of going and logging on the computer and starting work, take the time to do a little bit of exercise and set up your routine in the morning so that you're at your best throughout the whole day.
That's really good. So now Susan's talking about breathing. Prule's talking about self-care day and how you feel it. Patrick's talking about, which I really believe in, is the trend, to track and use the technology. Now, Chantel, the question is, sometimes technology is not going to take me where it needs to be, nor is my time out for self-care or even my breathing. It's going to get out of control. What would happen if the person that was taking those steps and managing their anxiety or their distress, it just gets too much and they need to call you guys? Will you walk us through how that happens?
Yeah, absolutely. So part of our role, or part of one of the things that we do when anytime somebody's calling in, is that we're also assessing with them in terms of what makes sense for their needs. And so, again, as as a group of individuals of crisis line responders, we really do work collaboratively with the person that we're speaking with. So there are some opportunities for those things on the line as well. So, for example, we have a section within our resources which is all about breathing techniques, box breathing, body scanning, so that if somebody in that moment isn't feeling that they have the ability to kind of, if I'm already feeling overwhelmed and there's lots going on, the last thing I now want is an additional chore list of what I need to do for myself. So it's that ability to have somebody walk you through that, take the ownership off a little bit. So we certainly help with that, but there are also different levels in terms of escalation. And what that could look like is, in the event that breathing exercise isn't feeling right, then there are local resources where they're timely and potentially free. So that could be anything from a Counseling Connect. That was kind of the inception of that service, was through COVID, when walk-in clinics were closed because of the pandemic. And so it's a free online resource, which allows for virtual or over the phone counseling. It's not lengthy, so it's not, a long-term solution, but in terms of that immediacy, most appointments can be booked within one day. I think the average is 1 to 3, but most of them I'm sitting around within 1 day. If it's beyond that and somebody's feeling like in that moment they need extreme additional supports, they're having a difficult time managing, it's escalating, not diffusing despite their best efforts, then there are additional resources like mobile crisis teams, and then with the responder all the way up to potentially accessing an emergency service. So, if you are really trying the best that you can, and it's still feeling like it's feeling too heavy, too intense in that moment, and based on that collaboration, there's an assessment that, maybe there is value in going and getting that additional level of support, rather seeing a hospital or family doctor, or even calling 911 if that's required. So we work on an escalation system with the goal of always supporting that individual at the least intrusive level of care that feels supportive to them.
Excellent.
Sorry, that was wordy. That was so much words, but sorry.
No, we were just trying to make sure that we could get your whole title fitted in during this. Just teasing. You guys were absolutely amazing. I know I speak on behalf of all the panelists and the hosts, as well as the folks that logged in today, how much we are grateful for you taking the time. You may have saved a life today. I'm not even, when we talk about this issue, it really is. Sometimes we just need to release the pressure on somebody that can't see their way forward and what that path is. And I think you were all there. And Susan, thank you for soldiering on today. I know what it's like to be going through something and being there for, everybody, and you're a trooper. You've been amazing. So we applaud you doubly today for doing that. So thank all of you. I know that Sonia and Suling had to leave, but I wanted to know, Andrea, if you had any parting comments, or Sharon, on behalf of your organizations.
I can just go quickly. I know we're kind of over time and everyone's on their lunch break. So I just wanted to thank the panelists. It's been like unbelievably helpful. And I don't even have the stress on my shoulders that an entrepreneur has, dealing with things on a day-to-day basis. As an employee, I don't have the same stressors. And I mean, I think everybody struggles with mental health challenges, and I learned a lot today, and definitely will be bringing a lot of this back to OCOBIA and also to my own BIA and sharing it with our members. So excellent information, and thank you for joining us.
Thanks very much, Andrea. And Sharon, would you like to add a few words?
Yeah, I'd love to. So on behalf of the Board of Trade, I just want to thank Lisa and Andrea and Sonia for coming together, bringing this together, and of course, Suling, who couldn't join us at this point. But it's a really important conversation. As Suling said from the beginning, it's something we're really committed to ensuring that our businesses have the tools that they need to support their employees, because we know that strong business leads to economic growth and support in our community. And so at the Board of Trade, it's a priority of ours to support those businesses. I want to thank all of our panelists, and I look forward to this conversation continuing and how the Board of Trade can continue to support through resources and information sharing.
Excellent. Thanks very much, Sharon, and say thanks to Suling for us. I know that Invest Ottawa is off. I do know that Catherine is on, but she's lost her video. Catherine, are you able to say a few words, or did we lose you completely? I think we lost her completely. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I want to say thank you. We went about 5 minutes over time, but hey, this was a great forum. It was very collaborative. It came together very quickly. I want to say thanks to the Invest Ottawa crowd, the Board of Trade crowd, of course, OCOBIA, my local BIA, Barrhaven BIA, and of course, when I say Catherine Landry, this woman works tirelessly for all of you at the grassroots level. To our panelists, you are amazing. I appreciate everything you've done, and I would just like to offer that we will do this after Christmas as well. And so if the panelists are interested in coming back, please let me and my team know, and we can have a little bit more of a dialogue. Maybe we'll go 1.5 hours and have some more feedback loop information at that point in time. So thanks, everyone. Stay well, get through the holidays, get through the tough times. The light is ahead, and the resources are here in our city. So thanks very much, and we look forward to supporting you. Take care.